What is a cutie mark? Some ponies will tell you that it is a symbol of your special talent. Some will say it is a visual representation of who you are as a pony. Most will tell you it is your destiny. In a way, these are all correct. The appearance of a cutie mark does indeed symbolize when one has found that special, unique something that makes them, well, them. But that's not what a cutie mark is really for. If you think about biology and evolution of species, most animals have abilities and traits that are meant to increase their survivability in the world around them. Some traits are based on the environment, and others based on other species' abilities, sort of nature's bouncy system of counters between predator and prey. So what, you might ask, does the cutie mark do in terms of survival trait? What environment or situation could be waved away by having a brightly colored picture on your special talent on your equally brightly colored rump or dark colored rump if you are a pony with less pigmentation? Anyway, the cutie mark is much more than just a picture on your flank. It is definitely an evolutionary trait of the pony race, for it serves a very specific purpose against a very specific type of predator. Before I get into all of that, I have a story to tell you, so please take a sit and try to relax. Ponies have existed for thousands and thousands of years. We all accept this as fact. Over the centuries, pony kind have continuously been evolving to sustain itself in the vast world out there, forever shaping itself to stay prominent as all other races do. But one thing most ponies don't know is that before even the princess's time, ponies did not have what we refer to today as cutie marks. That's right. Shocking, isn't it? Yes, cutie marks were not a thing a millennia ago, because the ponies of that time had no need for such a thing. It did not matter if the pony was particularly good at one thing, their flank remained blank for their entire lives. No pressure to live up to an image. No heckling over a silly magical butt tattoo. Nothing. Just simple ponies, simpler time. But as years progressed, so too did the evolutionary chain. As I said before, nature has a strange way of balancing things out. Natural selection, so that one species does not have too much dominance over another. It obviously isn't a perfect system, but I digress. Ponies were becoming far too numerous, to the point their numbers were threatening the well-being of other species. The resources were low, Space running out. Goodness, I can only imagine what condition the beds of the olden days were in, but that's not really important. No, what is important is that overpopulation was quickly becoming a problem. And since the ponies didn't seem to take it into account, nature had to step in. Now, Mother Nature is a harsh one. If one of her children messes up, you can expect her to bring the full punishment down upon their heads. It's all part of being a parent, if I may say. This punishment was not exactly direct, however. There was no great flood, like the religious ponies say. There was no giant meteor that struck Equestria and wiped ponykind down to several billion population points. No, the punishment was subtle, but far more awful. One night, the ponies of a particularly wooded area of Equestria found that over the course of the night, many of their fellow ponies had up and vanished without so much as a trace. There were talks, but no pony really worried too much about it. Maybe they just wanted to live somewhere else, they rationalized. Explore greener pastures. I can assure you that the pastures they explored are probably still exploring are far less green than the ones they came from. The next night, more ponies had disappeared. It was a bit disconcerting, but once again, the equines didn't think too much of it. But after several more ponies faded out of existence, without warning, it became clear something was happening. A night guard was established by the stallions of the settlement, and that very night the ponies found what had been causing their numbers to drop. Legend says that whatever they saw approaching slowly out of the dark forest was a tall, slim pony. The billowing black lengths behind it was thought to be the stallions, to be its mane, but as the creature approached nearer, they realized that was not the case. The towering pony had no mane, no tail. Even more horrifying of its missing features was its face, or rather, its lack thereof. Its fur, a pale white, unblemished, not even by the tiniest speck of dirt or dust, perfectly maintained and flat to its thin body. The burly stallions attempted to communicate with it, but found quickly that was fruitless. The monster snatched them up with its long shadow-like tendrils, and without so much as a scream from the victims, it vanished along with them into the darkness. As the years continued, the ponies began to get word of this tall stallion, and panic quickly spread throughout the entire world as more and more of the pony race was silently snuffed out. Eventually, nature decided that the ponies were now set to a good point once more, no longer hogging the world for themselves. However, she could not get rid of her new child just because he was no longer needed. Even a harsh mother like nature still has compassion for all of her children. Instead of destroying the tall stallion, she helped the prey evolve a way to be, let's say, protected from it so that their numbers would not drop too low. Any guesses as to what that defense might be? Yes, that is right. Cutie marks. But wait, mysterious pony. You must be thinking, I still don't understand how a flank image can save you from a faceless monster. Well, normally you wouldn't, but a cutie mark is not just a random butt tattoo. A cutie mark is magical. Not quite magical like a unicorn's horn, but magical in a more passive sense. You see, cutie mark magic is filled with positive and bright magic, the polar opposite of the tall stallion, who embodies fear and makes its abode in the dark. Once a pony discovers their special talent, receives their cutie mark, they no longer have to worry about the monster coming after them. The positive magic is too much for it to handle, so it steers clear. But if a blank flake doesn't find their talent in time, the tall stallion will eventually find them. It's not a malicious beast, if you may have gotten this implication. It is just like any other predator out there. It hunts its prey out of instinct and need, not hatefulness or spite. It is merely feeding. Now, I don't mean it literally eats ponies. No. The tall stallion doesn't consume physical matter, but rather it feeds off of fear and despair. Instead of killing its victims right out, this frightening beast captures the ponies, taking them to its home, a purgatory-like state, in between worlds. It is here that a blank flank will forever wander, trying to find a way out until they perish. All the while, the tall stallion will stalk them, feeding on the intense anxiety and hopelessness of its prey. One of the more terrifying aspects of its nature is that the tall stallion has been said to be able to shapeshift, to change its appearance to either trick or scare its prey even more, so as to get more out of them for food. Listen to me, I'm getting a little off track. You're here for cutie marks, right? Well, aside from what I've told you, there isn't much else to them than to keep them from being targeted by the tall stallion. It's an evolutionary trait meant for survival from the most dangerous of all of Mother Nature's predators. What's that? You say if that was all those centuries ago, then there is no reason to worry or need cutie marks anymore? Oh, my naive friend. Cutie marks are still very essential. You ever wonder why the fillies and colts around here are so eager to attain their marks? You may think it involves impatience or youthful want to be a grown-up. No, that's not what it is. You see, young ponies have a more acute sense of the world around us, of the, shall I say, paranormal. The tall stallion definitely qualifies as paranormal in most aspects. You don't know what it is, but most young ponies feel when the time is drawing near for the tall stallion to come and take them. They will feel this urge stronger and stronger until they either force themselves into a situation where they will get it, or it is too late. For instance, Applejack, was it? You may want to head back to Sweet Apple Acres right now. That sweet little sister of yours is going to need you by her side in the coming nights. And Miss Rarity, the little unicorn that is your young sister, will need you as well. I feel her talent is coming near, but it will be all for naught if you are not there to be her light in the darkness, shall I say? It's really too bad about that young handicapped Pegasi, though. She has no one to... Oh, Rainbow Dash. You know the young filly? Well, that could be good news then, that is. If you can get to her before the stroke of midnight. That's in about, a minute or two. What's that, Princess Twilight? How do I know all of this? Oh, my dear, that is but a simple answer. But one I unfortunately have no time to answer. You see, darn this tie. Such a pain to put it on. As I was saying, I have no time for an answer. My dears, I start work in about a minute.